You're currently listening to Group 1 from Block 12 Section MHD2's audiobook presentation entitled Divided Realities, a story about an ambitious writer whose dreams came true. But exactly how did that happen? Let's dive deep into the story of Esno as he discovers who he is by living in, interacting with, and writing the story of his divided realities. Before we begin the presentation, let us remind you that this presentation is heavily reliant on sounds, but nonetheless, captions and minimal visuals will be shown on screen for those who may prefer it. Now, sit back, relax, and tune in to our story, Divided Realities. You came home from another tiring day doing nothing but writing stories that will surely end up in the garbage bin again.
What a life!
Your life flashed before your eyes as you thought about everything that has happened recently.
Will I ever be known as the great writer I plan to be someday?
Tirelessly, you fixed the clutter on your desk. You then saw something that took you down on a trip to memory lane, which was a picture of your younger self in the zoo. You looked much happier there. It was the only time you and your father had bonded. Shrugging off the pain attached to the photo, you decided to start writing a story about your childhood. Hours later, you feel the tiredness seep through your bones.
This will only take a while. It's been a long day after all.
And began to slowly drift to sleep. As time passes, the sound of your candlelit lamps and the soft breeze from your office turned to loud gusts of wind. Then came the faint noises of birds singing, water flowing through the river, wind rustling through grass, and the indistinct chatter of the wild.
Did I leave the window or radio open again?
The scorching heat of the sun starts to overwhelm your senses. The bothersome feeling raises your curiosity.
Is it morning already?
As your consciousness awakes, it hits you. You are not home. This is not the bleak city and dull office you spent countless hours in, watching life pass by as you drown yourself in ambition that seemed impossible to achieve.
Where am I? Am I dreaming? This must be a dream.
You hastily stood up from the mass of tall, thick, green grass you were laying at. Out of nowhere, something fast and sharp grazed your left ear. Startled by the sudden occurrence, you felt pain. You reached for your ear and then...
Blood?
You stared at your hand, trembling in fear. You instantly looked in the direction from where it came. There, a tall, half-naked, olive-skinned, tattooed man, wearing a fiber, feather-like headpiece accompanied with a bow and an arrow, surprised you.
You! Good?
The man asked as he raised his thumbs.
What are you saying? Are you out of your mind? Do I look like I'm fine?
The man moved closer and tried to reach out for your wounded ear. Thinking he might hurt you again, you angrily pushed him away. The man fell, then you saw that his eyes were filled with fear. Then he hurriedly got up and scurried away. Furious, you ran after him in a haste.
Hey, come back here! Are you a coward?
You watched as the man ran towards the village. There you saw an unusual but flourishing and lively community, something you never expected to see. You stared. There are people dancing joyfully, children playing and feasting merrily on a large meal. Despite it, you stormed in towards the village, demanding to see the man who shot your ear.
Where is this ill-mannered man who almost killed me? Look at this! This is unacceptable!
Pointing to your wounded ear. The sudden commotion disrupted their activities, and the lively atmosphere shut down to a deafening silence. All eyes were on you as they had questioning looks on their faces.
What are you all staring at? Do you have nothing to say for yourselves? Have you no shame for your actions?
There was no response. As you stand before them, all you can hear is your heart pounding loudly in your ears, making you gasp for air. Your body begins to tremble, your vision slowly blurs, and you eventually lose consciousness.
You bring nothing but shame to this family. You are worthless! Haven't you learned your lesson? As no, we did not raise you to fail in everything.
Please, Father, I'll do better next time.
Pure lies! You have said that so many times. Nothing has changed.
But Father,
Stop this nonsense. You were born stupid. You will grow up stupid, and you will die still stupid! Don't you ever dare disobey me, Esno!
but please, don't leave me outside.
You shiveringly begged.
Don't ever think of coming back!
There was nothing left to do but hug your knees in an attempt to keep yourself warm. You continued to weep as the dark skies cried in unison. Despite all of the people surrounding you, no one offered to help. You just sighed, closed your eyes, and hoped that this nightmare would come to an end. You woke up to the sound of rhythmic drumming mixed with people chanting and singing. You try to recall what happened and where you were, but you still feel dizzy. You tried to compose yourself and get up, but your body felt so heavy. To your surprise, you saw the man you were looking for a while ago enter the tent you were resting in. It seemed as if he was about to nurse your wound.
You!
Awake?
He stutteringly asked with eyes full of guilt.
Isn't it obvious? Tell me where I am.
Ah! Home!
Then he gave you a shy smile.
What? I said where?
Huh? Home?
The man bewilderedly responded while scratching his head. Frustrated and not satisfied by his answer, you could not contain your annoyance anymore.
What nonsense is this?
All of a sudden, a man with the same glowing olive skin and tattoos all over his body entered the tent. He had a bigger build than the others, and he wore a headpiece with feathers and pieces of fiber sewn onto it with an insignia in the middle.
Heard noise. Here.
Chief!
The man beside you bowed immediately.
This man had the nerve to touch me after he almost killed me. This is unforgivable.
Forgive. Please.
You could have killed me at that moment. Will your kneeling do anything? Huh?
You raised your fist, ready to fight. A hand gripped your fist and gently guided it down. It was the chief.
No fight here. Peace only.
He said with a smile. You swiftly took your hand away from him, rolling your eyes. The chief put his hand on your back and ushered you outside the tent.
I show you home.
The loud beat of the drums, people engaging in festivities, dancing, singing, and chanting. You cannot help but stare in awe.
We, the tribe. Voyagers.
He declared proudly, interrupting your thoughts.
You. Welcome.
He gave you a large smile. The chief continued to show you around. You saw that women, both young and old, were weaving bright-colored fabrics while some were spinning wool. Some were enthusiastic as they cooked meals for the members of their tribe, and the men led the tasks in farming crops. There were also men arriving in the village looking tired from their travels, carrying weapons and animal carcasses. They also show how they care for their own environment by the amount of newly planted trees. The chief pointed to the sky.
We settle. Leave. Gems from sky. Follow for new home.
By the looks of it, everyone has their role in the tribe. They are living in pure harmony, something you never had, something you have never experienced back in your city. Everyone minded their own business, existing only for themselves. To your surprise, everyone was enthusiastic to see you. They extended a warm welcome. A child hugged you, bestowed you a garland, and offered a warm and delicious meal. The tribe's actions left you confused.
What's happening?
Our way. Welcome.
You were overwhelmed by the kindness and hospitality shown to you, but you still felt left out. You remembered your goal, to find a way out of this place.
Good sir, do you know a way out of this place?
Ah, cerrado.
The chief replied with enthusiasm and confidence.
You belong.
He said as he patted your shoulder. You looked at him, confused.
No! You're mistaken. I am not from here. I do not belong here. Do you even understand what I just said?
No response.
You know what? Forget it. There's no point in talking to you. I can't even understand you anyway.
You then briskly walked away and never looked back. But as you were walking, you realized something. Somehow, all of this felt weird to you. You never experienced this type of warmth, this type of care, especially when you needed it the most, when you were young. Seeing the Voyagers reminded you of the situation from the past, making you assume that they aren't of any use to you. So you decided to take matters into your own hands, like you usually do, and roamed around the vast places of the Cerrado Savanna. After roaming around for what seemed like hours, you heard your stomach rumble. Your throat felt dry as a desert, and your whole body was about to give up. To your luck, you saw a gigantic acacia tree in the middle of the vast savanna where you decided to lay down and rest. You remembered the tribe earlier and felt a sense of guilt and regret for rudely refusing their hospitality.
Great. Me and my stupid pride. I should have just eaten the food. I'll just go to sleep instead, and hopefully this will solve my problem.
But as you stretched your legs to relax, something caught your leg and immediately tightened its grip. All of a sudden, you found yourself hanging upside down, a few feet off the ground. You tried to reach the tight knot on your ankle to remove it, but to no avail. In the midst of your struggle, you saw a group of people howling as they made their way towards you. They had a tan complexion, dressed up with strips of fiber turned as undergarments, wearing headpieces nearly similar to the tribe you encountered earlier. You wriggled your body in an attempt to escape, but one of them slowly approached you with a rock in their hands, looking like they were about to hit you.
Wait! No!
The next thing you know, it was pitch black and all you could hear was a shrilling sound. You came back to your senses as you felt a splash of cold liquid on your face.
Rise and shine.
A full and deep voice echoed. There, you saw a woman standing above you, holding a spear in one hand and a jar half filled with liquid that you hoped was water in the other. Your surroundings looked secluded, dark and hollow. You appeared to have been brought to a cave. You were painfully tied down, laying down helplessly to a huge rock twice your size. With the help of a torch, the only source of light in the cave, you saw the markings written with something that looked like blood on the walls. To your horror, you saw that the writings depicted pictures of violence, suffering, and the worst of all, death.
You now probably know how you'll end up.
The woman said out of the blue. Offended, you raised your voice.
So I should be scared then?
You paused, then realized something.
Wait. Well, why do you sound so articulate?
Of course. We're not savages.
The woman smiled eerily. Weirded out by the woman's persona, you asked,
What are you people?
You'll eventually find out soon. Stay there. The chief wants to see you.
Soon, echoes of clapping and cheering grew louder and louder. It was approaching you. Even echoes of conversations triggered your fight or flight even more.
Hey, nobody gets the leg. That would be mine.
What? The whole leg? Why you always get the biggest part?
Leg? Are they going to chop off my leg? For what?
You were forced to kneel on the ground.
Bow.
The woman gently whispered beside you.
I bow for no one.
You then felt a sharp blow on your abdomen.
Ah!
You couldn't help but lean forward and bow your head because of the throbbing pain.
Welcome.
A middle-aged woman with tanned skin, long black hair and the more athletic-looking build greeted you with enthusiasm. Still recovering from the punch you got,
You do not have the right to do this to me!
you gave the chief a deadly glare.
I demand that you let me go this instant!
The chief smirked, then let out a hearty laugh.
I like this guy. You have such a daring personality. Since you already know what is about to go down...
He stared at you, and you looked straight into her eyes, wondering if what was in your mind was true.
What are you going to do, huh? Eat me?
That doesn't sound like a bad idea.
The chief grinned as the colors from your face began to drain. You realized what you said, and you regrettingly realized what you did to yourself.
Well, before you turn into a lovely meal that we haven't had in a while, we will give you the honor of knowing our story.
The crowd cheered with her.
We call ourselves the Dystopians.
What a bunch of crazy people.
We are the Dystopians, don't fight us, just fear us. We only want one thing, your body, all for us. Don't ask us, we'll tell you why we are who we are. Once slaves to our beliefs, now we rule what we see. Our hatred for humans imprinted on our past. We don't serve nobody, nobody governs us. Colorado, Savanna, our home and ours only. Run from us if you can, but we will outrun you. We are the Dystopians.
Don't fight us, just fear us.
We only want one thing.
Your body, all for us. Don't ask us, we'll tell you
Why we are who we are.
Born slaves to our beliefs.
Now we rule what we see.
This tribe, it's the complete opposite of the Voyagers.
You realized that your existence may now come to an end.
I guess this is it.
As you finally accepted your fate while waiting to be eaten by a crowd of hungry dystopians, a loud howl echoed across the cave. You opened your eyes and saw a grayish-brown coyote walking towards your area.
Ah! Dakota! You're just in time for feast!
The chief enthusiastically greeted the animal.
This one's a fresh catch! I haven't seen anything like this for ages!
It then eagerly responded with high-pitched barks and yips.
Shall we continue? Now, bring in the sacrificial blade.
One of the tribe's people kneeled before the chief and held out the blade. The chief reached out her hands and carefully grabbed the hilt, preparing to kill you. You closed your eyes, not wanting to witness how your life ends.
I am so screwed.
Moments after, you heard a loud growl accompanied with shouts and screams. Curious, you opened your eyes to see what was happening. There, you saw the coyote attacking everyone. Your attention was diverted to the chief as she cried out in panic.
Seize that filthy traitor!
The tribe quickly armed themselves with weapons and shouted in unison.
Protect the chief! Everyone, attack!
They charged at the coyote, but it was able to swiftly dodge the onslaught. You were startled when the coyote suddenly jumped over you. It was followed by a flying dagger that almost hit your body. The blade fell at the edge of the rock and coincidentally hit the vine wrapped around you. Grabbing the blade, you wasted no time and used it to free yourself.
Do not let them get away!
The chief exclaimed frustratingly. Together with the coyote, the two of you ran, and you continued to follow its lead back to the vast grasslands of the Savanna. With constant fear consuming you, you ran and ran without any destination in mind. You just wanted to escape the torment of the bloodshed you just witnessed. You ran and ran and ran until...
Ezzo! Come back here this instant!
No! I don't want to go back. I don't belong here. I will never be the kind of person that you are. The kind of person that was never a father. The kind of person that never supported me because he resents me for living a life I never chose to live in the first place.
But you are me!
How can I be you? I left you when I was 18. You don't even know what jobs I've gone through to feed myself. You don't even know how I feel every day knowing I've never had any actual parents. I've only had a father that never cared for me and a mother whom I never knew because she lived too short because of me. You don't even know how much I blame myself every day knowing how you constantly despise my existence because of my mother's death. And you don't even know where I live. Heck, you don't even know where I am right now.
Are you alright?
Slowly, the silhouette of your father blended, became mist and evaporated as the surroundings shifted back to what it was. A warm place filled with tall grass and acacias. You then see a deep, narrow valley with steep sides with water flowing down a few feet ahead of the coyote in front of you.
I'm tired. I need water.
That's okay. We can settle here for a while and rest.
The hound calmly stated. You desperately walked towards the river and scooped a handful of water to quench your thirst.
Whoa, easy there, easy. The water won't go anywhere.
The coyote awkwardly chuckled. You took a huge gulp.
Shut up! Didn't you see how far we ran?
You paused for a moment and confusingly looked at the coyote. Everything started to sink in.
You can talk. A talking animal? A talking animal? Oh my god.
Oh, really? What was your first hint?
The coyote snarked.
I must be delusional from all this heat.
Well, how rude of me. Allow me to introduce myself again. Dakota is the name and wit is my game.
I'm confused.
You said, scratching your head.
Such a weird name. But, hello, confused.
Dakota calmly answered in a mocking manner.
No. My name is Esno. And I'm just confused that an animal could speak.
Oh, you're right. I could talk. I don't see a problem with that. Anyway, I'm also part of the dystopian tribe, their most loyal companion.
You started to get suspicious with Dakota's answer.
If you're loyal to them, why did you save me?
I may know of their cannibalistic nature and the hatred they harbor for it. But my loyalty to them isn't because I agree with their morals, but simply because, despite it, they took care of me and Arden. We were always safe and well fed around them.
Everyone but the Voyagers seem to be so articulate. I see. But even after all those years, they never decided to perhaps let it go?
Dakota sat beside you.
How about you? Why aren't you able to do the same with your father?
Wait, what? How do you know about that?
Why not also ponder on the questions you first asked when you arrived in this mysterious place?
A knowing smile was shown by the talking coyote.
This may be a dream after all. But why don't you leave them instead? It's like the most practical way.
Easier said than done. I owe them my life. Until my very last breath, my loyalty stands with them. But difficult times don't justify the tribe's bad deeds. That's why I saved you. to try and show them that what they were doing was wrong.
After that, it was completely silent. You contemplated on what Dakota had said.
Is it a good reason that I left that kind of family? Am I a bad son? Was it selfish?
The moments of stillness were utterly disturbed when a high-pitched cackling sound emerged from what seemed to be a person. You quickly got up on your feet, anxiously assuming that the dystopians caught up with you.
Who's there?
Dakota butted in and gestured towards the nearing coarse-furred dog-like animal, a hyena.
You really know how to make a grand entrance.
The hyena then responded with a laugh. Dakota grinned.
By the way, this is Arden, and he's a pain in the...
No, that's you!
Arden replied in defense. You sighed in relief as he sat down.
Thank God it's not one of those dystopians.
You gazed at Arden prancing around Dakota. Both of your eyes made contact with each other. Arden came towards you, sniffed you, then looked at Dakota.
So, who's the fella?
Arden curiously asked.
He's Esno. I saved him from being eaten by the tribe.
Dakota answered.
You cross paths with the dystopians? That's so cool! What a missed opportunity for them! You would have made a delicious meal.
Arden confidently stated. You were offended and speechless at the same time.
I'm sorry?
Arden, read the room.
Then he looked at you.
My apologies, Esno. He's a bit cheeky, and his words are undoubtedly tactless.
Dakota snarled at Arden as he reprimanded his behavior.
Alright, my bad.
Arden snickered at his impulsive remark.
On another note, it's getting dark. We need to find a place far away from the dystopians before they could find us. We need to leave now.
Oh! I know a place! I know a place!
Arden interrupted.
Are you sure that it's safe?
Of course! I wouldn't want to make myself their dinner too!
Arden said as he stuck his tongue out in front of you.
What are you waiting for? Let's get you out of here!
He smiled, then jumped around. With that, the two animals helped you out of your misery and escorted you far from the dystopians. You tagged along with them. It felt weird that there was a sense of relief. It was also strange that your somehow newly found friends are questioningly talking animals. But, despite all of that, one thing's for sure. They're the calm amidst the chaos. You, Dakota, and Arden arrived back to the place where you first woke up when you arrived. Night has fallen and darkness enveloped the blazing sky. Immediately you were seen by one of the members with their ever-seemingly glowing olive-tanned skin and bright, cheerful smile, dressed half-naked, showing all the tattoos on his bare skin.
You! Back! My friend!
The man stopped in his tracks.
Hounds! Also friends! Where been?
Exclaimed the delighted Voyager. Both Dakota and Arden howled and pranced around the man, like domesticated dogs. The man paused while playing with the coyote and the hyena, then started to walk towards you.
I call Chief. He happy.
The man immediately ran back to the village, still glowing with festivity. After a few moments of silence, the man came running back. Alongside him was the head of the tribe who accommodated you earlier, heading towards you as if he had been someone you knew for a very, very long time.
Ah, you back. We celebrate you. Come.
You were led back into the village. Cheers for your return rang in the air, as if you were some returning hero. Alongside Dakota and Arden, who seemed to have become distinctly less talkative.
Pardon me, good sir. I know my first impression of you and your people was brash, to say the least. But I wanted to ask again on how I can get out of here.
Why leave? This new home.
The chief continued.
Why leave lovely home? You have all needed here. Trees, animals, friends, family.
Family?
Yes. We all family here. We good care of you.
Perhaps it was that one word that held you back from leaving this place. Perhaps it was also what kept you sane despite all that has happened. And that is your desire to be loved, and with the Voyagers, you felt as such. You may not have felt the same feeling with your father and mother, but maybe it was also time to forgive them. Let go and slowly allow yourself to love and be loved. With that, you decided to stay with the Voyagers and participate in their lifestyle in the Cerrado Savanna. You lost track of time the more you spent your life there, but you slowly gained more knowledge of how all of their activities played a role in their life, as well as their culture. From weaving, to farming, to hunting. Only enough and never too much. To moving to and from different savannas. To their system of having a chief, and having strong young men protect the children and women of the tribe, whom they value the most. You learned and understood them all. You felt as if you were dissociated from this world, but also a part of it. But it didn't matter. All you knew was that you were safe. You were loved. You were surrounded by people whose goals were to simply live, voyage, and love all living and non-living things. Purely eco-centric people who believe in the presence of higher power, who they serve as guidance for their travels. People who enjoy the abundance of colors, joy, and life that nature brings to them, and use them to produce even more. After yet another day of spending time with your newfound family, you found yourself laying down on the tall, healthy grasses of the savanna, with Dakota and Arden laying next to you. In the distance, you can hear the Voyagers preparing tonight's meal. You were telling Dakota and Arden of how you were finally able to master weaving clothes that the Voyagers wore, and you will probably make your own tomorrow, as well as new feathered headpiece for the chief. The two hounds nodded and wagged their tails in response.
Huh? I really recall you guys being able to talk before, back when the dystopians were after my throat. Oh well.
You gazed back to the azure blue sky, glittered with gems. It must have been a while since you were here, since the stars have moved to a farther distance and show different constellations.
It must be time for the Voyagers to move again.
As your vision starts to blur, the door between dreams and reality slowly grows open, and fain you succumbed yourself to slumber.
It's time for you to move back as well.
These were the last words you heard from the reality you were in for a short while.
It's time for you to move back.
Slowly regaining your senses, you woke to the faint sounds of birds singing, the gusts of wind, the animal noises, and the sounds of chattering in the distance turned back to a familiar breeze and the faint smell of a burnt-out candle. A ray of the sun hits your eyes. The bothersome feeling raises your curiosity.
Is it morning already?
As you regain consciousness, your eyes scour the area only to find that your friends were nowhere to be seen. Then it hit you. This was not the home you recently grew to love. You're back in the bleak city and dull office you spent countless hours in. You started to once again feel the lonely feeling of longing for what you thought you once had. It hurts. It deeply hurts. It hurts because you miss them. You were at the brink of crying, but you suddenly realized something. Without a moment to spare, you quickly wrote down all the experiences you went through in your dream and turned it into a story of fiction and adventure, focusing all on the interactions, sentiments, memories, culture, and hobbies you shared with the Voyagers and the two hounds that were your calm amidst the chaos. The chaos caused by none other than the cannibalistic tribe of the Cerrado Savanna. Years later, you became a very well-known author, not just in your city, but in the whole country as well. Your story brought light, joy, and social awareness to your mundanely lonely city, and you were glad to have done so. You were reminiscing about the past as you were walking towards your destination. Finally arriving at the local bookstore, you were welcomed by the applause of the crowd. You walked straight to the podium and started reading your book to the audience, which contained all the experiences you held close to your heart. Scanning the crowd, you spot a familiar face nodding at you. They looked like an older version of yourself. You smiled back at him. After the event, you went back to your old office, looking around one last time before finally moving out. As you were about to leave, you discovered something sitting on your table. A piece of fiber, weaved into a headband, the ones that the Voyagers wore. You smiled to yourself, packed up, shut the door, and left for good.
Slaves to our beliefs, now we rule what we see.